This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. I saw this come up again the other day, so I did a video kind of talking about this when I'd first seen about it. Like, Paul Reed Smith had said it shouldn't really matter where a guitar is made. Now, obviously, Paul Reed Smith is a guy who makes guitars all over the world, right? So in Indonesia, I think they built guitars in Court factories in Korea before that. I think they're still building some in China as well, the hollow body stuff. As well as, of course, like the main bulk, well, maybe, probably not even. So, but of course, the main reason that a lot of us, again, maybe not even. A bunch of people that initially knew about PRS would have been because of the core range and the S2 range and stuff that is being built in America. When I'm thinking about it, probably the largest amount of PRSs being made are probably not made in America. I don't know the numbers on that. Maybe I should ask a contact at PRS. Anyway, I might drop that in here if I can. But obviously, Paul Reed Smith has some amount of vested interest in people believing that guitars can be made really well anywhere. But at the same time, it might be better for his business. It might not. I have no idea. If he just said, well, the American ones are going to be better, obviously. But the people, I saw this was posted in the PRS group, and there was kind of like a little bit of a backlash to that as a comment. The people that had the lowest opinion of PRS SE guitars seem to be PRS core owners, from what I can tell. Anyway, so this kind of got me thinking, like, about, does it matter where a guitar is made? So I'm someone who gets to try quite a lot of guitars. So my own personal guitars that I play most of the time, I've done a video saying that I'm a hypocrite on this, tend to be made by Chris K-Line, who is a one-man operation. I think he now has a second guy there. And at the time, I bought these because I was reading on the internet that these were basically like a one-man custom shop type thing. So if you think of someone like Grosh or you know, there's lots of other examples of one-man boutique guitars, but these are being made in America by a guy. So that's kind of what I personally tend to play most of the time. This year I actually added a PRS Silver Sky core as well, incidentally. That was bought used for a very good price. Got something going on here. But I get to try a lot of guitars that are made in Indonesia. Typically when people are paying you to demo guitars, they're not going to be sending you 4, 3 grand, 2 grand guitars even. I think there is a tendency to promote the cheaper stuff, presumably, because they're built at larger scale. Anyway, so I get to try a lot of guitars from Indonesia and stuff like that. I think the Jet guitars are probably the highest example of guitars that I think really, really do punch above their weight. They're not paying me to make this video. Obviously, a Jet guitar is not going to feature in this video, but particular, there was a guitar that my buddy Chris borrowed, which he really, really rated highly. Tony's got it at the moment. He hasn't told me what he thinks. Maybe he doesn't like it as much, but I thought that one was a really, really classy guitar. Now, the most consistent guitars I think that I've tried tend to come from Japan. Now, let me know if you've got a country that you prefer your guitars from. So I have a friend who works at Rose Morris, and I get to try Tokais that, of course, he wants to promote on the channel. He doesn't pay me to do them, but I like to check them out. Now, I have to say, in general, the Tokai stuff, the finishing is perfect. The one downside that I sometimes find with Tokai guitars is that they can be a bit heavy, but this one's not. The frets on this one are a bit rougher than normal. Sorry, Mike, but I'm not going to lie about the guitar. Not this time. But yeah, anyway, it looks fantastic. So I think with a fret polish, this one would come up lovely. It's actually got a 7.25 inch radius. So actually, this is not a world away from like the Tokais that they were building back in the 80s, which is when I think there was a bit of a reputation that, because I think that was like a darker period for Fender, right, where they were kind of doing some stranger things, and Tokai kind of just were building guitars, they called them oldies but goodies even back then, that were kind of just trying to do the Fender thing in the 80s. And I think, looking back, people have a really fond association with Tokai. I think what matters, maybe, is, first of all, how long a factory has been building guitars. From chatting with Yamaha, basically, they build internally for a country before those guitars get out into the wider world. I think that was something like what was happening before the guitars get to export. There was a certain country that they were building guitars in, and they were basically just skilling up over that time, was the conversation I kind of had, and it sounded like that was what was happening. And for instance, you think like Korea and Japan now have had like sort of 40, maybe more years of building like these types of guitars and stuff, and I think that maybe matters. You get people that are skilled up, and also I think like for the factory, there is a thing like over time, like factory, like lean and all that sort of stuff came from Japanese factories, right? Just things that over time get more efficient, and maybe quality even goes up and stuff like that. I think this one has a plastic nut by the look of it, unless it's a very, very white cow. So that matters. Also, of course, the main reason I think that companies would choose to build overseas is either that they're based there, so like Tokai are based in Japan, of course, or like Ibanez build in Japan and Indonesia, and the reason being that labour costs are reduced in Indonesia, so you can sell the same guitar essentially for less money. I think the AZ was a really good example of this, actually, of like really testing that idea of, does it matter where a guitar is built? You know, you get an AZ from Indonesia, pretty much the same spec from Japan, make that comparison. I think that's a really cool idea. And yeah, that is the reason that you would build it over in these other places. But I think for PRS, it's got to have been a really significant move business-wise, right? Because a PRS SE has probably found itself into the hands of far more players, now that I think about it, than a core guitar, right? Anyway, so it's just a thought about, should it matter where a guitar is made? And I think culture and labour costs and all that sort of stuff factor in. But for me, I think Japan sort of lands in that sweet spot where the price, say, like of Tokai guitars is pretty reasonable, I think, for the quality that you get. And I think between £1,000, £2,000, there aren't that many of these really like pro level guitars at anymore. It's like things go up to 3,000 or they're below 1,000. It seems to be like there's this little bit of a thinning out of that price range, but Tokais still sits there quite nicely. Let me know in the comments if you've got other brands like that. I think FGN as well, another Japanese brand. Yeah, this has slightly less polished frets than most Tokais that I've played, but I can feel that there's a potential here. Like, it's a nice lightweight guitar. I think it looks pretty pretty. I don't normally like matching headstock, but there. But yeah, he's probably done a discount code for this if you wanted to try it. But I'd say give those frets a polish, Mike. But yeah, do you care where a guitar is made? The Yamaha Pacifica, that professional model, very expensive, but does kind of feel really quality to play, and I was really enjoying some of the tones out of that as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you've got any. Do you care? Is there a reason that you buy your guitars from where you do? I think it makes sense if you get your guitars domestically made where you are, that you probably end up paying less of a premium in terms of tariffs and import and all that sort of stuff as well, maybe? Let me know.